Now, using a browser-based React project has certain advantages. For example, it's instantly available, but it also has disadvantages. For example, you only have limited control over the general layout of that browser editor, and you can also only configure the things this browser-based editor allows you to configure. If you want full control, you need a local React project. And as mentioned before already, whenever we start a new React project in this course, you'll find a starting snapshot attached to the lecture where we create that project. It'll typically be such a zip file, which you can simply download onto your system and extract. And then in there, you'll find a React project with which you can work. Now, in order to run this React project and, for example, start a development server, which allows you to preview the React app whilst you're working on it, you will need to install Node.js though. So you need to install this extra software onto your system, and you can simply visit nodejs.org to download Node.js from there. You can either use the latest or the LTS version, that shouldn't matter. You can download it from there. It is available for all operating systems, and it will automatically pick the right installer for your operating system. And once you did download and install Node.js, by simply walking through the installer this page gives you, you'll be able to start such an attached project snapshot. For that, you should open the downloaded project snapshot in your favorite code editor. For example, in Visual Studio Code, which is an amazing free-to-use code editor that is available for all operating systems. You can simply download and install it on your system to open React projects with it. And inside of Visual Studio Code, you can then browse these code files, and you can also tweak Visual Studio Code exactly to your liking by going to the settings there and, for example, choosing a color theme, by tweaking the keyboard shortcuts and the general settings. You can also change the appearance of Visual Studio Code under View and, for example, make sure that you have a status bar at the bottom or you maybe don't have it. So that's what I mean. You have full control over how it looks and behaves. And definitely take some time to play around with Visual Studio Code to configure it in exactly the way you want it to configure. Now, two things I would recommend that you tweak about Visual Studio Code locally on your system is, for one, that you go to the keyboard shortcuts, and then there you should search for the Format Document shortcut. And make sure you bind this command to a convenient shortcut, because whenever you press that shortcut, then it will automatically format your code, making it more readable, which is super convenient. In addition, and kind of related to that, you should also go to the extensions area of Visual Studio Code, because this code editor allows you to install third-party extensions. And there you can of course install any extensions you want, but I do recommend that you install the Prettier extension, which helps this code formatting command in the end. Because this extension and this command will make your life as a React developer a bit easier. Now, if you want to run such a downloaded project snapshot, you'll have to open a new terminal in Visual Studio Code, which simply opens your default system terminal or command prompt, just integrated into Visual Studio Code here and already navigated into this project folder. And then as a first step, you'll have to run npm install, a command which will only work if you did install Node.js, because this npm command is part of Node.js. Now, when you run npm install, it will go ahead and install any extra dependencies and packages that are required by this project in order to run correctly. For example, it will download and install the React library into this project. Those dependencies are not part of the attachment because they are pretty big and they would unnecessarily bloat the zip files. Now, you only need to run npm install once after you downloaded such a project. Thereafter, you just need to run npm start to start this development server, which allows you to preview the React application. For that, you then just have to visit the address that is shown here, and there you should then see the sections starting project. Now, what's really nice about this development server is that as long as it's up and running, whenever you change anything in your code and you save that file, it will automatically update the website and reflect your changes there. So you should keep this process up and running as long as you're working on your code, and whenever you're done for the day, you can simply quit it by pressing Ctrl+C. You can then of course always restart it with npm start if you want to continue working. So that's how you can use those project snapshots, which you find attached to the course. But of course, sometimes you also want to create a brand new React project. And for that, you can, for example, use a tool called Create React App, which you should find if you search for Create React Project. On the official website of that tool, you get instructions on which command to run to create a new React project. And as you can see, it's just one simple command you have to run. This command must be executed in your system terminal or command prompt. And there you should first navigate into the folder where you want to create your React project with help of the cd command. And once you are in the place where your project should be created, you can paste in this command and then give this project any name of your choice, like for example React Complete Guide. And once you hit enter, it will go ahead and create a new folder with that name and create a React project inside of that folder. Now, important, for this command to succeed, you also must have Node.js installed on your system. Now, you can then also open such a project with Visual Studio Code, and you'll find basically the same folder structure as I have it in the code snapshots I'm providing to you. Now, in this project here, you don't need to run npm install because that was already done as part of this npx create React app process. Instead, you can right away run npm start to start the development server. And then once you visit this address, you should see a React project that looks something like this. Now, to conclude this lecture, I also want to note that you could alternatively also use a tool called Vite to create React projects. And if you search for Vite create React project, you'll find the official documentation, which then also lets you know which steps to follow to create a React project with Vite. In the end, it's up to you which tool you want to use. They all give you React projects, and the React code you'll write will be the same either way. But with that, you now also know how you can create a React project locally on your system, and you therefore can go with whichever approach you personally prefer.